Okay, I'm back. The whole situation with this exhaust bypass hasn't quite come to a close just yet. And that is because I got back from driving the car last evening. As I was driving it, I realized something was wrong. Something was up. I wasn't in love with it, and of course, it didn't sound anything like the videos I'd watched on YouTube of the muffler bypass kits by Fab Speed. And of course, videos never do an engine note justice. But it just didn't sound like a flat six. It sounded bad. Something was wrong. So after I got back from my drive, I just sat outside of the car as it was idling, and I could hear like this buffeting sound. So I don't really know how to explain it. It didn't sound right. I feel like you could hear like a lot of like high pitched like air popping sound, and it was kind of gross, and it was like canceling out like the really beautiful exhaust note of a flat six. And like it was to the point where like it was literally like canceling the frequency out. Like up at Redline, the thing sounded like to my ear within the cabin, it sounded like it was revving to like 3,000 RPMs or something. It was very bizarre. I don't really know how to explain it other than that. And of course, I tried to catch it on camera, but you can't really do that justice, so I'm not even going to bother. And then I thought, okay, this was a design flaw on my part. What I had done, so here's the tips. I took it back off the car. What I had done is, you can't really see it that well, but from the straight section into the curved section, I had to kind of like force this angle here in order for the tip to come straight out the back of the car. So what that caused is there's literally like, you can't see it, but there's literally like a step inside of the pipe. And it was basically, I think that's basically like creating enough of a transition with the pipe, within the pipe, a restriction basically, that when the air, of course very high speed air, just coming out of the headers through the cat and into this finisher tube, and it was hitting that and just kind of like, causing it to get really turbulent, which would then give it that pop sound. So I built in with this tube. I didn't even think that would be an issue. I thought it would still flow just fine, even though there's effectively a restrictor in the pipe. But I was very wrong. And so I made a crappy exhaust tip. So fortunately I had a backup idea, and I was planning to do this anyway. But when I got back, I was like, all right, I'm going to fix this right now. Fortunately, I still had the elbow coming out of the original mufflers. This is what it looks like. I'm showing a picture of it right now. Still attached to each of the mufflers. I'd kind of been eyeing that piece with that flange, that bow out then back in flange, going like, what, that kind of looks like an old school like muffler, like exhaust tip. I was like, and it's a bend. It might be kind of cool to weld that to a section. So I still had enough of length from before from the other piece of the muffler. I will show that here, this piece. And so I was like, well, all right, let's just make a new tip then. So of course I spent all night last night fabbing up a new tip, and this is it. So here's the straight section of pipe, and then here's the elbow that originally was the exit that flanged up to the exhaust tip originally, but I'm now using that as my finisher. So there we go. Now, of course, I'm kind of bummed because I really wanted to be able to incorporate the original exhaust tip into my muffler bypass. I thought that'd be kind of cool, just to have the original hardware. Something's a little different, but at least it's still there and incorporated. But the thing was, it was kind of there were more downsides than up. Obviously, the sound was a big one. It sounded like crap. So that. One strike against it. Two, I didn't love, of course, like what I had decided to do. Like, I'm such a terrible fabricator, and welding the straight section to this bowed out flange ended up being a lot harder than I anticipated. So, and of course it looks like crap, and you can actually see that when it's bolted up under the car. You can see it looks like this. It sticks out below the bumper enough to where you can actually see that welded up flange. So I wasn't thrilled about that. Additionally, I didn't like the angled OE tip as much as I thought I would. When I was picturing it, I thought it would look kind of sweet. And then when I actually saw it on the car, I'm like, I don't know. It looks kind of odd, a little off-putting. And then additionally, this side profile of the tip, when it's angled like that, this bottom part stuck down below the bumper so much that it just looked, I don't know, super boy racery. So that's like, what, 4 strikes against it now. But, I mean, kind of altogether, didn't sound good, didn't look good. So maybe it's time to do something different. So fast forward, I have these fabricated and finished up. I didn't film any of this because it was kind of like it was kind of on a whim, even more so than the original conception of the idea of doing this in the first place. But I just kind of started doing it, and I was like, I'm gonna fab these up, see if it even works. If it doesn't work, then screw it, I'll just buy an exhaust. But I got them together, I put them on the car, and I really like the way they look. I mean, it doesn't look the best. It doesn't completely fill the cutouts in the bumper, but it's unique, it's original, and it's still made of the same exhaust hardware that came with the car, which was kind of my original intent, right? I wanted to be able to put that to $0. It was my goal. So let's see if I can fab up a new exhaust for no cost to myself whatsoever. And I don't know, it kind of just, it fits, it works with the car, and the 996 is a modern yet old school enough 911 that I think having like an old school-esque exhaust tip on it still works. But also the main thing is it sounds incredible. Having that super smooth flowing exhaust tip just works. It is tip top. What's up, everybody? I am back yet again for actually a third iteration on this exhaust. It has been quite an iterative process, but I believe now I have nailed it. We're good, ready to ship it as is. So, in the beginning of this video, I was explaining how I used the exit portion of the muffler, the little almost 90-degree tube section that had kind of like the flanged end on it. It went out and then back in. So what I realized is actually that the fact that it went out and then back in created its own little air buffeting problem in itself. So I actually just decided to eliminate that altogether, and I have ended up with this design. I don't know if you can see that very well, but here's where we're at. Basically, I took my grinder and I just ground down the part, the decreasing radius part, and we now just have like a trumpeted section here. So that is the final look, and that's kind of what I'm sticking with for now. Just to give you an idea, here is the full look from the back of the car. Actually, you know what? Pause 1 second. All right, so I've got my light on the back now, handy dandy LED light. Again, the camera is really not doing it justice at all. So just to give a reference, here's a quick look of what it looked like before I cut the decreasing diameter section out. And you can see, I think because of the decreasing, the out then back in section, it kind of gave this illusion like it didn't fill out the cutout in the bumper as well. But I think because it's trumpeted now, and it now actually looks like it fills out the bumper a lot better, while also still giving an old school look, which to me, I don't know, I think that's kind of cool. And again, I realize in the camera, especially like on the right side one, it just looks like a big diameter pipe. And it really, like, just reference the left one. You can actually see, like, the inside surface a little bit better. But it really is like a trumpeted look. See what I'm saying? And this is the right one, just for proof. But for some reason, the camera doesn't do that very good justice. But anyway, that's where I'm at with it. So going forward, I am going to do a part 3. Yes, I know. How many freaking parts am I going to make this series into about a stupid home modified exhaust bypass kit? But unfortunately, it's a crappy day out right now. We're in the middle of March, and it's actually like sleeting outside. Gosh, every time I look at my garage. Okay, I did not do those stickers, by the way. Those were that way when I moved in, and I hate them. And every time I like have my camera at this angle and I see them in the background, I'm like, those are so freaking corny. Anyway, so part 3 video of driving impressions coming, because like I said, 1, it's gross out right now, so I'm not going to get the Porsche out of the garage. And 2, I actually need to come up with a better mic system, because it's going to be hard to actually get a full impression of what it sounds like inside the car and outside the car, to actually let it do it justice. I've already started experimenting with it a little bit, and it's hard to do. It sounds so much different on camera, and it just doesn't even sound right. It doesn't sound the same at all. So anyway, that's where it's at for now. Thank you so much for sticking with me. If you're still here, I really appreciate it. And as always, thank you so much for tuning into Fun Ahead TV.